Happy Friday! Welcome to the Scoop Order. Sorry for the delay. As you guys know, my wife Kim is very close to giving birth, so we are a little bit. We have a little bit of tremors going on right now. So I wasn't sure if I could go tonight, but I told Nevada, let's ride. And if her water breaks during the show, we will boogie on out of here. But I appreciate you guys as always. Huge day. Conor Stallions gets a new job. The Michigan potential settlement is going on, and we're gonna have a huge scrimmage update, a huge scrimmage nugget tomorrow, Saturday. So if you guys are on bucketscoop.com, you will get it first, per usual. So I hope that you guys are members of bucketscoop.com, because we're gonna have some really good insight on what's going on tomorrow. But as always, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave say like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, the growth of the channel is nothing short of spectacular. We appreciate all that you guys do. Again, we go each and every day, each and every night. My wife is close to giving birth, so we are waiting by the phone and waiting by the contractions. And so I was like, Nevada, I don't know if we can go or not. She's starting to get a little bit closer, but hey, let's try to squeeze a podcast in. So I apologize for being a little late. Normally we go at 7, so sorry for the wait. Shout out to our wrenches, Devin, Sean Trock, Sean Rawlings, Kim, for being a part of the show and kind of relaying that, hey, this is what's going on. I know that Sean Trock texted me. I appreciate you, my man, for saying, hey, are you guys going tonight? I was like, well, we are, but it's going to make sure that we're not going to the hospital. So, again, Nevada, through thick and thin, we generally try to go at least 30 out of 31 days a month, which is insanity. But we like to do it because, again, we have the best constituency in the game with the Scoop family. But Nevada, I don't know where you want to start, because the Amden went bankrupt. There are some massive sanctions coming to Michigan. Potentially, there's potential settlement there. There's a lot of ground to cover. It is a very interesting spot for these guys to be in. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, let me clarify. Okay, when people hear settlement, generally people, their mind races to like capitulation or letting Michigan off the hook or getting off easy or splitting the baby or whatever. And let me assure you, that is not what's going on. Um, I've said this on Buckeye Scoop today. I 100% believe that this thing will be settled at some point, because these complicated things, whether they be legal proceedings, NCAA proceedings, they generally are settled administratively, and that's because both parties, want to wrap it up as quickly as possible, get to the penalty phase, get things over, and so that's generally the way that it goes. So when you hear stuff about settlement, don't be spooked that Michigan has any leverage in this, or that Michigan is flexing, or that Michigan's going to get off, because we're going to play Final Michigan Jeopardy, and I'm going to give you my final answer for Michigan penalties tonight. This is we're in Final Jeopardy time, and I've got my little thing, and I'm kicking everybody else's booty on the thing. I'm up like 18,000, and I'm going to bet all my money. I'm going to put all my 18,000 in. Final answer from Nevada Buck. I think this is before the NOA is being dropped, so before I even have access to seeing the final notice of allegations, I'm going to go Nevada Buck's final answer on penalties. And you got a little pen, you can write this stuff down. Multi-year bowl ban, vacated wins 21, 22, 23, at least for the first part of 23. The NCAA is not going to recognize the Big Ten titles or the national championship. They will not recognize either of those. There will be multiple show causes given to Michigan coaches. There will be recruiting sanctions, recruiting restrictions, scholarship reductions, and I'm trying to think about it, and a big fine. And there'll be a big fine in athletics. And they'll go on probation for like 5 years or something like that. That's Nevada Buck's final answer. You can hold me to that. You can go, oh, Nevada, you got it wrong. You got to do this. That's my final answer. Got really good intel on this. Feel really good about where this thing's going. And if they settle it, that's what the framework of the settlement will look like right there. Multi-year bowl ban, vacated wins, vacated titles, and go forward sanctions in terms of restrictions and show causes. So that's for Nevada Buck's final answer.
That is very substantial. That is a hammer to me. Like if you're taking away the natty, taking away vacating wins. Again, I
Not
don't know.
not
You can
not 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 no, hold on. Not taking away the net, not recognizing the net. I want to I
okay.
want to be very clear. They're saying they're not going to recognize the Big Ten titles for 21, 22, 23, and they will not recognize the college football playoff championship. So that will put it back on the Big Ten to remove the titles, which I think will happen in 5 minutes, and I'll put it back on the college football playoff committee to vacate the championship, which I think has to follow from the NCAA not recognize them. But words matter, so I just want to make sure
Yep.
we'll not recognize those titles.
And again, so I do not want anything to be misconstrued. But it's like if you vacate the first half of the season in 23, I don't know how you can recognize a national championship when you're 6-6 or whatever it is going into the season. But yeah, I mean, I think that's about right. Uh, Nevada Conor Stallions got a new job. He's now defensive coordinator at a high school in Michigan, which is, I don't want to say suspicious, but it's interesting when you'd hire a defensive coordinator a week before the season starts, because most teams finished their second scrimmage yesterday, and a lot of teams they open the season next week, either on Thursday or Friday, maybe Saturday. Are you surprised that somebody actually? Here's the thing. I don't want to say you're surprised. I know your answer is going to be like, not at all, because Michigan people are scum. But the fact that they are literally hiring a guy who has not cooperated, multi-year show cause, impending. But I think that the Michigan donor pool knows no bounds. So if they're like, hey, let's make Connor the DC at this high school, I don't think it'll hurt anything, but it is kind of surprising that he got hired by somebody when he's a part of a pending NCAA investigation. And again, I don't know what the circumstances were. Maybe they had a DC quit. Maybe they had a coach quit. Maybe they needed somebody to fill in. I've seen that. My own high school has had a kid that was a DC who was a very, very good player, very, very good coach, and he left to be an athletic director somewhere. So all of a sudden they had a little bit of a shortcoming at DC, and my old high school coach, who's 75 years old, came back to be the DC, which isn't normal. So I don't know if there was like some sort of a deal there, but like to make a coordinator who's facing a myriad of NCAA charges is questionable, I guess. But if somebody is a huge donor to that high school, a huge donor to Michigan, thinks that Connor should be basically, exonerated from everything, I think that it's something that is there. Were you surprised Conor Stallions got hired to work for a football program this year?
Again, let's be clear. It's a volunteer position. It's unpaid. So, I mean, it's a volunteered, unpaid position at a high school. So, am I surprised that Conor Stallions got a volunteer, unpaid position at high school? No, I'm not really. Are the optics bad? Yeah, they're terrible. Um, but high school isn't college. Plymouth High School isn't University of Michigan. I mean, look, the optics of having Jim Harbaugh invited back to be the honorary captain were about 80 million times worse than Conor Stallions getting a volunteer, unpaid job at Plymouth High School. But it's quite a reversal of fortune for the guy. I mean, he's basically going to become like the Hawk Tuohy girl and be like some sort of novelty act that the Michigan fans roll out at these things where they're like, "Hey, and we've got Conor Stallions," and he'll come out and but again, I think the Conor Stallions, right now people tolerate Conor Stallions because he was a good soldier for Michigan. He helped them win and he didn't rat. But that's because the bill hasn't come due yet. When the bill comes due, I think the Michigan fan base is definitely going to have a different opinion about Conor Stallions because the notice of allegations is very detailed, lays out the scam in with great effect in terms of the impact not only on Michigan, but who was involved for Michigan and what the impacts were on their opponents. So I think even the most diehard Michigan fans are going to look at this and kind of go, "Man, we had all this stuff stripped, we had all this stuff, and this is the guy that did it." So I think things are going to change, really really quickly for Connor. But yeah, the fact that he got I mean, look, he had a better day today than the MDen did. The MDen declared bankruptcy, so they declared the major retailer for Michigan athletics declares bankruptcy after they win a national championship. I mean, it just shows you how bad it is for Michigan. I mean, it's bad. Their head coach is going to go under a show cause. Their former coach is probably going to get a lifetime ban. The program's going to go on a multi-year postseason ban. I mean, I just don't know how it can, and their title is going to be vacated. So I don't know how much how it could be much worse for Michigan fans. And you know, like I said, I think Michigan fans, they had their little run, but they cheated, and everything that they did in 21 and 22 and 23, I give Ryan Day a pass for. I give Ohio State a pass for. I give every one of their opponents a pass for because they were cheating. They were violating the rules. You look at the record before Conor Stallions, it was like 40 and 26, and then after it was like 40 and 3, and it just shows cheating does work. I mean, it's kind of like using steroids. Why do people use steroids? Barry Bonds was really good. Then he used steroids and he became superhuman. Michigan football was, yeah. And then they cheated and they began, but now everybody's onto it. The punishment's coming and it's going to be bad. And if you think that I would give you a final answer Jeopardy without knowing the answer to the question before I gave it to you, you better have your head examined. It's going to be bad, Michigan fans. Hammer's coming, and get ready for it. Buckle up.
Yeah, that's right, man. I think that people don't realize, like, when you've seen the I don't want to say the draft, but the draft plus of the notice of allegations of people that are like really dug into it and it's like, hey, this is what's really gonna happen. This is what they're gonna drop on you guys, and I would not be supporting that, backing that. It's betting a UFC fight where that somebody has a broken limb or something, or a torn. It's like betting Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather when if somehow you knew that he had a torn rotator cuff. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to bet on that one. I think I'll pass on that. But I think that you're a gambling man. You're a guy that is a businessman. You're a guy who's big into prospecting for what's the next big thing. What's the thing that can make me money? If I said, Nevada Buck, here's the deal. You could become the sole proprietor and the owner of the largest Michigan retail conglomerate in Ann Arbor and surrounding areas. And if I would have said this to you in August, let's go 1 year ago, Nevada, you can win this. They're going to run the table. They're going to win the national championship. Do you want in? Like, I'm a genie in a bottle. I popped up and said, hey, I can tell you who's going to win the national championship, who's going to run the table, who's going to be undefeated, they're going to beat Ohio State, they're going to beat Georgia, Bama, Washington, win the whole thing. I would think a guy like you would be like, well, are you sure of that? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm a genie in a bottle. I can pronounce who's going to win the national championship. Michigan's going to go 15-0, so you're going to have this rise. They're going to beat Ohio State. You're going to have the sales spike. Then they're going to roll through the playoffs, and then you're going to have this national championship win. And so you're going to have this big, happy ride all the way into August. But that's not what happened. Like, the MDen went bankrupt, which to me is, again, I know the people that own Buckeye Corner, and I know the people that own a lot of these Ohio State deals. Like, when they win, like you win a Rose Bowl or they have a good season, beat Michigan, like the sales spike. I mean, it is a dramatic spike. When they lose, if they lose in the playoffs, if they lose to Michigan, if they lose in the national championship, it is like, I mean, wet blanket is not even the term. It is like, it's as bad as it gets. So there aren't many industries where it's that dependent upon the performance of the team. But when you own one of these apparel shops, if you have Buckeye Corner on Lane Avenue or at Easton or whatever, and Ohio State gets smoked in a bowl game, like after that Missouri game, they're not selling anything. Nobody wants to wear it. Nobody wants to recognize with it. So it is what it is. But so when Michigan has, if the longest season of all time, they win the national championship, all that goodwill, and they still go bankrupt, it's a massive eyebrow raiser to me. Nevada, what are your thoughts on that? Because again, I know that you're a business guy, and if I said, "Hey, Nevada," I can guarantee you. If I said, "Hey, Nevada, you can buy Buckeye Corner today," and I will guarantee you that Ohio State will run the table and win the national championship, and this is what your profitability will be, and this is what this everything will skyrocket. You'd probably be like, "Okay, well, let's look at it and let's maybe write a check and do it." But with Michigan, it was the opposite, man. They took a bath. They lost a lot of money on it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that would have been a loser. I mean, I've had many losing investments. That would have been another one that would have joined the list of the losers for sure. But look, the Michigan fans knew that they had the shortest honeymoon in the history of honeymoons. As soon as it happened, Jim Harbaugh started heading out the door. Everybody started skedaddling. The NCAA starts rattling around. Guys started getting fired. I mean, it was just terrible. They literally had the worst offseason of any national. I mean, they had one of the worst off seasons for any team, period. Let alone a national champ. This is completely unprecedented. How bad this offseason has been, and for Michigan, I mean, the bad news is for Michigan fans is this is as good as it gets. I mean, this is the peak, man. This year will be as good as you're going to be for the next 10 years, guys. So, seven. If you could eke out 7-5 or 8-4 or whatever it is, um, I mean, you're never gonna see that again for the next decade. So I, yeah, as a Michigan fan, I mean, man, I'd be despondent, and I think that their despondency is kind of manifesting itself. Like, who wants to wear gear when you know that like one you cheated, and that two it's going to be taken away, and three that this year's going to stink. Uh, I wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, so given your circumstance, I mean, had I known the cheating thing, like we've talked about these games the past few years, and we're like, man, how do we get these games so wrong? And it's like, well, if I knew they were cheating, if I knew that, if you knew the extent of the cheating, Kirk, wouldn't you have bet Michigan plus 9.5 against Ohio? Like, wouldn't
Oh my God!
like,
I would have projected Ohio State to win, and like we would have been going in if I knew that they knew the cards. Like I'm not betting on them to win the poker tournament. If I said, "Hey, these guys are counting cards," these guys again, like you guys have seen Casino before, where the guy's got the little thing on his leg, and they're tapping it, and he can read the cards. And there's this little scheme, like that's what it was. And I was like, I'm not betting anything on that. I'm like saying either I'm holding off or I'm laying the ranch the other way. Again, because that's the thing about gambling. It's like when you get inside information, man, you have to act on it. And again, if I knew that Michigan was picking the signs and they were gonna bust our offense up and they were gonna know exactly what defense we were running, I'd be like, God bless us. Like let's run it back. Let's go bet on the old Blue Bellies, which I've never bet on Michigan in my life. But it's just like when you know that someone is cheating, especially in football, man. It's hard not to factor that in the equation and get everything kind of squared up. Again, that's just my opinion. Nevada, any thoughts on that? Because again, I think you're right away with that. Because I couldn't imagine having somebody I knew was cheating and like, well, me and you like doofuses are sitting there like trying to project that Ohio State should win and they're favorites and like you said 9.5 point favorite in a rivalry game, that's a huge favorite. And then to get smashed, eyebrows are raised, in my opinion. Nevada, your thoughts?
yeah, I just look. I always try to whenever I have bets, I always try to do a regression analysis and kind of look at what happened, especially when I lose. I like to look at kind of go through and go through your process in terms of what did you miss? What was the missing thing? What was the piece of information that you wish that you had, or that you ignored, or what was it? And with Michigan, it was the cheat. I mean, if I knew like that video 10 TV of
Oh God.
Stallions, I mean, like sitting on the
Phew.
sideline, looking at the sign, communicating in real time to mentor. He's pointing to the changing the defense immediately triggering run to the right. I mean, if you know that, you're like, there's no way you're betting Ohio State. You're going,
Yep.
guys, we're in deep doo doo. That's what we
Yeah.
are. but
Yeah.
we didn't have that information at the time, but now we do, and now you realize what was going on, and now everything makes sense. All the inexplicable offensive performance at the end of 2022 game where you're like, how did they hold us to 3 points a second and completely shut us down? CJ Stroud, the guy that's going to be the face of the NFL, and all those wide receivers and all that, like, how did they just completely just shut us down? Well, it's because they knew the freaking plays. So,
Exactly.
I mean, now everything makes sense, but it's so good to know that Michigan is going to get it, especially when the Michigan fans were like, "Oh, nothing's going to happen. Oh, we're going to get an
God.
apology. There might not even be a notice of allegations. They might just send a note to Conor Stallions." And I mean, guys, it is coming, and it's going to be bad, and it's very, very detailed, and it's going to be bad for you. So, guys, get yourself ready, man. And if you're an Ohio State fan, get ready for unadulterated joy, because the podcast
Oh
we do
God.
once the notice of allegation, it's going to
Whew.
be glorious. We're just going to be, if you're a Michigan fan, don't come on that, because we're going to be flexing on you the
No.
whole time for like
Yeah.
9 hours. We're just going to, until my phone blows up, we're going to be flexing on you.
It'll be the massacre of massacres that night. Because I'm just telling you, like, we're gonna be turned out big. Because, like, again, the thing about the NCAA is, like, they do not want this to proliferate. They do not want this to be like some sort of a thing where it's like, well, Michigan didn't get they got two scholarships taken and no bowl ban. Like, this is going to be the hammer of hammers, because they do not want this to keep happening. So they're going to be very, very staunch to do that. Because again, if you win a national title and cheat, then I think all of a sudden people are not going to be as forthright as they need to be. All right, Nevada, any thoughts? And we will dig into some super chats.
No, just, I mean, Conor Stallions, the M-Dem goes bankrupt, and Michigan heading to the guillotine. It's just a great day, and tomorrow, like you said, we're gonna have a detailed scrimmage nugget, going up there on BuckeyeScoop.com. So it's a great 24 hours, and the birth of the newest moderator at Buckeye Scoop, little baby number 3, is that's exciting as well.
Appreciate you, my man. Jared A.
Tell me,
Burson.
no, can we let people know that you did name the baby Nevada Buck Barton?
Nevada Buck.
Can we reveal that? Can we reveal that now?
Nevada Buck Scoop Barton, maybe.
Little
Nevada Buck. Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, Jared A. Burson, thank you for the 100. That was very generous of you. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for being an awesome member as well. Wife and I found a bar that makes awesome sliders in Nashville. Then saw a cheater flag in the corner and almost threw up our food. Would you go into a cheat again backer bar if they had the massively best wings in the world? Also, Funky Buck is killing it on Sundays. Appreciate you, man. Great shows. I mean, like, if somewhere is where you got to go. Now, Nashville has 8,000 bars, so it's not hard. But, if you don't know any better and you go somewhere and they got a Michigan flag, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think you can penalize them if you don't know any better and you're trying to try somewhere out. You guys, again, I travel a lot for work. I go to a lot of different cities, and I check out Yelp and what's the best wings or quesadillas or nachos or whatever, steaks. Excuse me. And if they had a Michigan thing, I mean, I used to pay it online because we used to beat them every year. So in the old days, the Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer days, like when we would beat the tar out of them every year, it's like, I don't really care because we dominate you guys. Like when I was a Detroit Lion, I lived in Michigan, I wore Ohio State stuff every day. I'd go to the grocery store. I'd go to the Pilates studio. I would go steakhouse. Nothing but Ohio State stuff because we beat them like 20 straight times or whatever, 15 straight times, whatever it was. So it's like they couldn't really say anything to me, and I kind of like to flaunt it. So again, if Ryan can get us from being, from making love to each other and being tough love or love and dove or whatever his deal is, if he can get us back to being a tough football team and beating Michigan, there's nowhere I'd rather be in the world than a Michigan bar when we're on a huge winning streak as an Ohio State fan. That is swinging Excalibur sword at that point. But when you're on a 3-game skid like Ryan is, then it makes it tough. But I wouldn't leave. Like again, I mean I own it. Like when we lost to Virginia Tech in 14, I wore Ohio State stuff head to toe to the gym the next day, and a lot of people put it in their closet or were using them for oil rags. But that's just how I'm built. But that's just me. Nevada, your question again, Jared. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the 100. Your wife and you found a bar that makes awesome sliders in Nashville. Then he saw the Cheaters Up North flag in the corner and upstrip our food. Would you go to a Cheat Again backer bar if they had the massively best wings in the world? Funky Buck is killing it on Sundays. Great shows. Nevada, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. First of all, Funky Buck is killing it. Funky Buck and B Moses they're killing it. They're not only killing it on their pod, but they're killing it on the message board. Man, those guys are message board monsters. They've been Uncle Buck or through just message board monsters and doing a great job. So if you're not on BuckeyeScoop.com, you're really missing out. If you like the podcast, join BuckeyeScoop.com and you'll get it the other 23 hours a day. As for frequenting a Michigan backer bar, if it was like the best wings in the world, but it would have to be like the best wings in the world. I mean, they couldn't just be good because you're talking about Nashville. Nashville's got some of the best. I love Nashville, and Nashville's got some of the best eating spots. Anywhere going. I mean, Nashville food is off the hook. So I can't believe that you couldn't find a better place than a Michigan bar. But if it truly was like the best wings in the world, so given that thing, I would probably eat there. I probably would eat there. But I try to, it would be hard for me to believe that a Michigan bar could have the best wings in the world. But yeah, that's a tough one because I mean, I'm like Kirk is much nicer about this. I don't like Michigan at all. There's nothing about Michigan that I like. I don't. I honestly, I used before this whole thing went down. I used to have some respect for the program, but now I have absolutely no respect for the program, no use for them. I think their fan base is worthless, and they're preening about the Harvard of the West and all this other. I just have absolutely. I really truly wish they would go. And when they go on probation, and they're going on probation, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I think they'll end up self-imposing this year because they're not going to be good this year, guys. I'm telling you, they're the most overrated team in college football this year, and they're going to be one of the big underachieving teams in college football. Mark that down and hold Nevada Buck to it. I'm calling it right now. Big time underachieving Michigan football.
I like that. All right, Raymond Mitchell, thanks for the 10. Appreciate you, my friend. This is very pertinent. This is very good. When he was at OSU, one of the fraternities already knew they were getting kicked off campus, of course. So they threw an absolute banger and broke every university rule possible. Sounds like what Scum is doing. Again, Nevada, I know that you're, who you are, but like if you know you're getting fired or getting dismissed or whatever, obviously this fraternity knew that they were getting kicked off campus. So I don't know how long this went on for, maybe the last year of their existence, but like, I can't blame them for that. If they knew that they were getting kicked off of something or whatever, and they just went ballistic and broke every rule known to man, I don't want to say that's legendary, but I think that's probably the right course of action. If you know that there's nothing you can do to correct anything, and there's no recourse, there's no contrition, there's no, hey, if we have good behavior for this amount of time, you can come back. If you're getting kicked out of somewhere, like Ohio State love to kick frats out of campus, and I've never been to a frat party in my life. I was not a frat guy at all. But if someone told one of these frats, hey, you're gone, you're done, there's nothing you can do to save yourself, then I can't blame them for going, and being lit. But what are your thoughts on that? Because I think that's again, I think Michigan, again, this is why I love this chat, because we have the smartest constituents in the world, the Buckeye Scoop family that are on here. And Raymond, this is great because when you say they knew they were breaking the rules, they knew they were getting kicked off campus, so they just went crazy. That does feel exactly like what Michigan did last year. And those guys all knew that they were getting out of there. They all knew they could go work for Jim Harbaugh in the NFL. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, they made a movie about this. It was called Animal House, and that's kind of that is kind of the storyline of that. But with Michigan, the difference is Michigan went crazy on all this stuff and thumbs their nose at the administration because like you would treat it as if when you're leaving and never going to come back. But the NCAA still holds their fate in their hands, and that's why all the stuff that Michigan's done the bets, the preening, the threatening of temporary restraining orders, the lack of cooperation, the destroying of evidence, all the stuff. I mean, and then you finally you get to the point, and Harbaugh's gone, and then you invite him back as the honorary captain. I mean, that is the most tone deaf things in the world. The NCAA holds your fate in their hands, and they're going to determine how long you're gone, how big your salary restrictions or your scholarship restrictions are, how big the fine is, all these things, and you're continuing to flip them off. It's just dumb. It's not, it's not heroic. It's not epic. It's not smart. Um, because you got to come back. At some point in time, you got to come back. This isn't Delta House where you guys are all leaving and the fraternity is never going to be seen from again. Michigan football wants to be relevant again, and they're just digging. What they say when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Well, Michigan, you're in a hole. Stop digging, guys, because it's only getting worse for you.
Totally agree. Sean Schrock, thanks for the deuce. Thank you for being a great ranch and a great Ultra member. I appreciate you, my friend. How many games do you think Sharon Moore will miss? I think, God, at least a couple. Here's the thing. It's hard to project how many games he'll miss when we don't know when the ruling's going to come. So I'll say for this year, 0, and maybe it'll come later. But I think that once this hammer comes down, he can get show cause for a year. I think he's just as complicit as Jim Harbaugh. You're the head coach now, and you had these people under you that were subservient and they were damaging your program, and you're responsible for that. When you're the head coach, again, everybody wants to be the head coach until it's time for the NCAA to show up, and it's like, when you're the head coach, every bad thing that happens is under your umbrella. It's different from being a position coach. So if you have some intern who's doing something nefarious or some graduate assistant or some analyst, all of a sudden that's under you. Again, I've talked about Walmart ad nauseum. When Walmart's CEO is like, well, I had no idea that our shirts were being made in sweatshops and with slave labor and child labor or whatever. You don't get exonerated because you're like, well, I'm the CEO and I live in Arkansas and I had no clue that this is going on. You get cracked just as hard as the person who's assigning the people to do that work as the third party manufacturer that's doing that. So that's where it is. So I don't know. I'll say 0. And again, maybe, I hope I'm wrong. But Nevada, how many games do you think Sharon Moore will miss?
I think he's going to get fired. I don't know how you have a head coach at a football program for a school that's on probation, that's under a show cause. I don't think he survives this. Now I don't know that because this is he is going to get a show cause from the NCAA. The question is what Michigan's going to do about it. I think they have to fire him.
Yep.
I think they have to fire him. He is a repeat offender. He's on probation, and then he committed more NCAA violations. These things were not running concurrently. These things didn't happen at the same time. The first notice of allegation came down in January of 2023, and 8 months later, Conor Stallions is on the sidelines, doing his thing. 10 months later, or 9 months later, or whatever it is, Sharon Moore decides to destroy the text message thread between him and Conor Stallions. So he is a repeat offender that's facing a level 2 thing. That level 2 now upgrades to level 1 aggravated as a repeat offender. I don't think he survives.
Nope. Nor should he. Chocolate Chip Scoochie again. I love when these super chats dovetail into perfection. So Chocolate Chip Scoochie, again, happy birthday, my dude. I just got a little note. Thank you, Sean Schrock. Appreciate you, my dude. It is Chocolate Chip Scoochie's birthday. I hope you're having a great birthday. Happy Friday night. Nevada, do you think Sean will be fired? Nevada obviously thinks he'll be fired. Nevada, anything else to add to that? Again, Nevada is very analytical. He's very practical. He's a guy that's run sports teams before. So when he says that, if you have to take the fire hose to the program and clean everything out, I think that's where you're at. Like if I'm Michigan, if they said, Kirk, you are now the president of the board of trustees, that say, all right, we're firing everybody, fire hose the whole thing out, beg for mercy to the NCAA. They're going to smash us. We're going to suck for 2-3 years. Then we'll get back on our horse. But I think that that's the correct course of action, as opposed to just, double middle fingers and acting like a fool with the NCAA. Because again, they didn't cooperate. Jim Harbaugh didn't cooperate. Conor Stallions didn't cooperate. They've had to do forensic analysis to get the amount of information they need. So yeah, it's a quagmire at this point. But Nevada, you already gave this answer, but Nevada, do you think Sharon will be fired? What are your thoughts?
Look, I think the only sensible course right now would be for Michigan to finally become proactive in this thing and go to the NCAA and say, "Look, I know two years is at the lower end of your what you're asking for on this stuff. You'd like more, but give us 2 years. Give us this punishment. We'll take it now, and we'll fire our head coach. We'll demonstrate to you true contrition that we're taking this seriously. That we're not thumbing our nose at you. We're gonna enact the first postseason ban this year. We're gonna fire our head coach. We're gonna sanction all the other guys that are on it. We're gonna ban Harbaugh for life from coming onto the camp. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you have to do. Um, I think that's the only way that they're gonna escape, the true ire of the NCAA, because the NCAA could make it much worse. The NCAA could do what they did to Penn State and make it 4 years. The NCAA, could take away 25 scholarships. I mean, they could really, really violate them if they wanted to. So I think, for Michigan fans, they may see this as like the mega uber hammer. I think it's at the lower end of the scale of what the NCAA really wants to do. But I think that's the only way they'll get away with it, is if they just throw themselves on the mercy, beg for forgiveness, and start firing some of the perpetrators.
Totally agree. Dade Messina, appreciate you. Thank you for the 5. Has anyone found out if Connor was on any other sidelines? I had a hard time believing he was only on one sideline. I have not seen that. And again, we live in the era of 4K film and the rest. And I don't think I've seen that. Nevada, I could be wrong. Have you seen him on any other sideline other than the Central Michigan sideline? Because again, that would be something that's very graphic and something that would be easy to find. But I don't think they've found that. So again, I'm not trying to. Again, we're very fair and we know what has happened, what hasn't happened, whatever. I have not seen him on another sideline. Your thoughts on that?
There's a lot of rumors about that. I mean, there's a lot of noise about that. And there were pictures where, if you remember, we even had the thing on this where there was pictures of him at the Western Michigan, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to go back and check the thing, but I believe in 2022, it was kind of a similar situation with Western Michigan. Again, I don't want to misspeak, but I am telling you, I don't believe for a second that was the first time Conor Stallions was on an opponent's sideline, and we just happened to catch it and happened to find it. It's kind of like the guy when they rob someplace and they're like, "Is this the first time you've ever done?" Oh yeah, first time. I've never done it before. I don't believe that. I believe that he's a repeat offender. Um, we had photos of somebody on the Western Michigan sideline that looked awful lot like Conor Stallions. You remember that? I don't remember the exact photo. I don't remember the exact game. But if my memory serves me correctly, I think it was a similar situation to what the Central Michigan State game was. Michigan State was starting. It was Western Michigan was playing them on a Friday night the year before. Michigan, Conor Stallions could have driven down in terms of doing it. So I don't have it. I tell you when I have it, but I don't. I would bet money that that was not the first time that he had dressed up as an opposing coach and went on the sideline thing. I would be willing to risk money that he was a repeat offender and that he'd done it before.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to who do you know. You have to have a guy that's willing to risk his job and his career in college football. Because again, it's easy to say, well, I think he could do it. I think he could get in and whatever. But it's like, are you willing to risk your career? Because again, if you get caught, if you're like, the guy from Central Michigan, that quarterback coach got fired. So it's that is like a bit of a dice roll. If Connor didn't get smoked for all the other sign stealing stuff, then we probably never know about it. I mean, Nevada, none of us had heard about Connor. He gets smoked for what he did. And then, by some miracle of God, somebody happens to catch him on a random Central Michigan State game. Again, that's so strange because, like, we've watched between the two of us, we've watched tens of thousands of football games in our lives, and we've never been like, well, let's study real hard at who's this guy in the Michigan polo or the Michigan hat or the spy glasses on. Because again, I'm like you. Like, I love watching football. I love betting football. I love studying football. But I don't study who are the ancillary people on the sideline of a football game. But somebody happened to capture this guy and saw him with the spy glasses on, and they said, "Hey, that looks like Conor Stallions," which again, I think is nutty. I think it's crazy. But somebody caught it. So God bless whoever caught it, but I never saw it. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I don't think that, when Connor was doing this, you have to remember that the environment. Nobody was thinking they were risking their job in terms of doing it because Conor Stallions was so far down the totem pole. Nobody had ever heard of Conor Stallions. Um, and Connor had written this little manifesto and had all these little Geppettos, all these little interns at Western Michigan, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, and he was the king duck because like all these little guys are running around there and going, nobody will even talk to me. All I do is get coffee and change copy paper and clean out the toilet when the thing gets backed up and have the plunger. And Connor, you're sitting on the sidelines talking to Jim Harbaugh and right on the ear of Jesse Minter. And so he was the king duck for all these guys. And so when Connor called up, man, they were only too happy to oblige him because he was royalty. I mean, he was the intern that had made it, man, the little engine that could. He's gone out there. He'd gone all the way up. These guys could only. How did Conor Stallions manage to do this? Wow, Mr. Stallions, whatever you need a Western Michigan shirt. Sure, I'll get it. They're not thinking they're risking their job. They're thinking they're currying favor with the king bee. And now it's kind of now they're like, what in the world did I just do? I flushed my entire career. The guy at Central Michigan just got ran. He literally got fired because of this, because they had him on tape handing the Central Michigan gear through the tape thing to Conor Stallions, and he got fired, and his career's over. And I mean that happened. That's not a guess. That's not Nevada Buck and Burt Carton. Yeah, that happened. So, I mean, yeah, it's serious, but I don't think they knew at the time. They weren't thinking they were betting the cadoodle. They were just like currying favor with the head Geppetto and trying to get onto his train because he was telling him he was going to be the head coach at Michigan someday, and he'd bring them all along with him, and he'd have his little army of minions, and they were believing it.
Yeah, I think that you're exactly right. I think that, and again, this is just me pontificating because I've been in his shoes. I've been, when you're a guy making 25 grand a year as a GA or an analyst, and you're fantasizing about sitting in the big chair and sitting in Jim Harbaugh's chair, it's like, well, how can I add value? How can I expedite everything? I would bet a pretty good sum. He said, hey, if you guys hook me up, give me these passes, give me a shirt, give me the glasses, I will show you how I do this. So again, you can start stealing signals in the MAC, work your way up the ladder. When I become, a position coach or a coordinator at Michigan, I can hire you. Because again, that's how it works. I mean, football, like, there's the old boys network. There's the deal. I mean, I had a guy like, and I don't like to get into this, but like, Keenan Bailey is the ultimate old boys network guy because I had a guy who I really respect, who's very, very intelligent, who's a very, very solid evaluator of talent, say that Keenan Bailey is the Indian like cigar shop statue. That's who he is. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't do much, but that's what he is. So it's like when you go to like the cigar shop and they get that big Indian with the headdress on and stuff. That's what he called Keenan Bailey, and I about fell out of my chair. And this is somebody that really knows football. This isn't some guy who's been to practice one time. This is a guy that knows. He's been around Hall of Famers for a very long time. And that's what he called Keenan Bailey. I about fell out of my chair. But I think that a lot of these guys, they probably were like, well, we'll get some equity from Connor, and he'll remember us when he gets the coordinator job at Michigan. He'll hire us as position coaches or whatever. I think that's Hire's current favor. Karis and Beth Washington, I hope you guys are doing great. Thanks for being Ultra members as well. Thanks for the 5. And happy Friday night. Love you guys both. You guys are the best. Karis and Beth are at every single Scoop outing. So I appreciate you guys for all you guys do. So I know I was early before. Congrats. Can't wait to welcome our newest Scoop member. Thank you so much. I love you guys both so much. You guys are the best. I love seeing you guys and your smiling faces at every single meetup. I appreciate that. Also, the notice of allegations cannot come soon enough. Nevada OH. Love you guys both so much. I appreciate that so much. I cannot wait. Our next meetup will be in September. I can't wait to see you and Beth again. You guys are the absolute best. Karis and Beth are at every meetup. They're like Steely. They're like Schrock. They roll. They're there early. They stay late. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you both. So I hope you guys are having a great Friday. So I appreciate you both. Andre Duke, what is up, brother? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the 5. Kirk, Nevada, what are your thoughts on a Tom Collins? And Kirk, what's your favorite road trip in college? Nevada, have you ever had a Tom Collins before?
Yeah, Tom Collins. I like Tom Collins. I like it. They're tasty. That's the Nevada butt kind of drink.
What is in a Tom Collins?
Well, I think it depends. I think it depends on when you're making your little Tom Collins mix. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up exactly.
Yeah, you're looking it up right now. Like I'm looking up what is a Tom Collins. Like half the time when I'm on my phone, I'm like trying to figure out, okay, what is this or what is a statistic or what is in a Tom Collins? Go ahead, Nevada.
Yeah, because it's like gin, lemon juice, and soda.
I mean, you don't drink any of that.
Oh, no, dude, I used to be a big gin guy. Are you kidding me? Like I was Mr.
You're like,
Gin.
are you like Snoop Dogg, like gin and juice?
I was like Mr. Gin, and then there was the incident with gin one night, and I moved to vodka. But yeah,
you went out of the fire and into the frying pan.
I was like out of the fire, into the fire, and then back into the fire, then cooked in the frying pan, and then back in the fire. But yeah, me and gin had a love-hate relationship. I loved gin, and then it hated me, and I had to move on. But yeah, I like Tom Collins because it's like a little frizzy kind of drink, and you know I like those frizzy kind of drinks.
Not really, because I always think you as a vodka tonic guy. And I was like, why do you get tonic? He was like, well, I like tonic. But it's like, I've never seen you get like a fizzy drink in my life.
No, dude, I do them all the time. Like when I'm out, man, my kids laugh at me because I'm always getting like sangria or like I'll be like,
you don't. No, you don't. You get sangria? Not around me.
I had sangria at Cooper's Hawk just the other day because it's kind of a whiny kind of restaurant. I had sangria and it was so good.
We've got one in Columbus that is
like the red sangria. Yeah, then I had the peach sangria after that. So no, dude, I like the fruity kind of sweet drinks. I do. Guilty pleasure. I do.
I'm so shocked.
I'm not ashamed. I'm a man enough to know that. I know. I'm man enough to admit that I like those fruity drinks. I do. I like that sweet.
I've never seen you order anything other than a vodka tonic. In the 1,000 drinks I've seen you ordered, that's all you've ever ordered. Vodka tonic. That's it.
Well, it's all situational. It's all situational. If I'm eating, because I like Coke. I always get a Coke, right?
I don't. No, that's the thing. Like the thing I know about you is you always get like some crazy ass expensive deal, like beef Wellington in a regular strength Coke, and I'm just like, this little bit like this is like when I'm with you in Vegas at like 10 a.m. And I'm like, dude, you're getting a beef Wellington and a regular Coke and French fries. I was like, and you just house it, and then you're just good for the day. Like you're like, this is the one thing I'm gonna eat. You're like, this is the one thing I'm gonna eat all day, so I'm gonna go hard, and then after that, it's just pure. Yeah, it's pure vodka tonic and video poker 1,000 play.
Yeah.
Like that's
1,000 play.
I was like, if there's one thing I know about you, the thing I know about you that I love about you is like, you're so predictable that it's crazy. And like, I know you so well. It's like, I know what he likes to do. I know what it doesn't like to do. I know what's fun to
That
him. I know what's not fun to him.
that
And
it's very. I
so
am
you
very.
drinking sangria. If someone was, if some ghost would have came to me and said, hey, Nevada's going to show up to dinner, why don't you get him some sangria? I'd say
Go
you never met him in your entire life. You'd have no idea.
go to Cooper's Hawk and try the sangria, man. I'm telling you,
There's
it's
Cooper's
delicious.
Hawk
I
in
had that with.
Easton. That's what Ocean Club is. Like when you come for the Michigan game, you
I
can go, well,
know.
we'll drink a picture of sangria. And I'm like, oh my God. Like they gotta,
I
are they
love.
gonna
Oh, that'd
pull,
be so good.
are they gonna pull my skirt up after I get done drinking that? Like, good God,
No,
you know,
I'm definitely a girly man when it comes to those. I like those sangria, man. That was good, very good.
you like sangria. I mean, again, you say stuff to me all the time where I'm just like, wow, I learned something new today. It's like your NWO like VHS tapes. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, or whatever. It's like you drink a sangria. That might of the shocking things you told me in your life, the fact that you enjoy sangria. I don't even have words. Oh my God, where
Yeah,
did my friend go? Vodka tonic
I'm telling
man.
you,
You
I
know,
do like my sangria.
that'd be like
Tasty,
you.
very tasty.
That would be like you say that you prefer small bills instead of large bills. I'd be like, I've never seen you carry a small
No,
bill ever.
no,
I was like, I've never seen a
yeah,
dollar bill in your wallet ever. I was like, I see
no, no,
hundreds. I don't
hundreds,
see any.
yeah,
I don't see any singles ever. I was like, I think you throw those, you
no,
blow your nose at those and throw them
I
in the
don't,
trash.
no, I don't carry singles.
Oh my God. All right. In my favorite road trip in college, whew, that is a great question. Excluding bowl games, I'd say the Iowa game was fun because that was revenge tour '06. We got smashed in '04. Texas was awesome. And again, I'm gonna have Vince Young on this podcast pretty quick. Vince is an awesome person. Smashed us in '05. Excuse me. Probably Austin in '06 because I was in severe pain, plantar fasciitis to the point where I couldn't even walk, and I got shot up for the game. I balled out in the game, and we won the game. And it was a revenge game after the '05 game. It was a 1 versus 2 game down in Austin. And my favorite thing about Austin is that we had so many people that were just like, God, Austin was so fun. It was so great. We went to 6th Street. We ate Tex-Mex and we drank all this liquor and the girls are super hot. And I was like, and then we won. So like, for me, the most important thing is winning the game. Because again, I have all these people that are just like, we love going to the games, whatever. So it's like, for me, like the only thing I can do to control their outcome and the experience of their thing is to win. So, when they're out drinking and they go to the strip club and they go to the steakhouse and they go have cocktails and they got pretty girls everywhere, if we lose the game, then it's the wet blanket. But when we go out there and win in a 1 versus 2 game after they've had all this fun from Thursday to Saturday, that really felt good. So I felt good for the people that spent all that money to go down there. And then we saw a win. It was in Texas. And, Lord knows when we'll go back down to Texas. But it was awesome. And I was so happy about it. And I've said this for years, ever since we played down there, I said, Austin, Texas should host a bowl game. Because it's a fun city. It's a huge city. Obviously, Dell's there and it's monstrous. But, there's a lot of stuff to do. 6th Street's great. There's a lot of young talent there that makes it a lot more fun. So, yeah, I'm just thinking like, for me, of all the cities that I've seen for bowl games, like Austin, Texas should host a bowl game. And I think it would be a huge smashing success. I don't think any college football program would ever be upset about going to Austin for a bowl game, especially in December, January when it's cold and terrible. Like, go to Austin. It's still going to be 75 and fun and great city to go to. So that's my opinion. Austin, Texas, '06 Texas game. Nevada, do you have a favorite road game that you've gone to as an Ohio State fan?
I mean, yeah, I don't like the road games as much as I like the home games, but I'd say any road game at Nebraska is always fun because the Nebraska fans, I just think they're such good fans. They're so accommodating, really nice. Actually, Notre Dame fans have been great as well. I mean, the Notre Dame Ohio State games are such such great classics, and I think the fans are very respectful. They certainly have a lot of respect for the Ohio State program, and programs are a lot alike. And I've always talked about how great it would be if Notre Dame was in the Big Ten, just because you want to see games like that. You want to see games like their classic games against USC, like their classic games against Michigan. But as an Ohio State fan, there's certain places you don't want to go. As far as I don't think going to Penn State is super fun. I don't think going to Wisconsin is super fun. I don't think going to Michigan is super fun. But going to Nebraska, going to Notre Dame, those are really good games. Lots of fun. It's great people, and the Notre Dame campus is fun to walk around, and the stadium's got so much history. And but like I said, it's really the people that make it make it work for me. So I'd probably say Nebraska and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame sucks. I will say that. Nebraska is fun. But I'm telling you, like when you can go to Austin, like it's funny. We played at Nebraska in 19. I love Kim to death. Kim is my little geography major. I said, babe, I got to fly through Vegas to go to Lincoln or to Omaha. My flight goes through there, and I got to leave a day early. So I spent the night in Vegas to go to the Nebraska game on Friday. And it was fun. We beat the absolute tar out of them. There was a Scott Frost era, the beginning of it, the end of it, because we beat them like 70-10 or something. It was terrible. But yeah, I think Austin is the meta. This is my opinion. I think it's gonna be hard to beat that. I wish it was joined the Big Ten, because that is a fun trip. And Thomas Kelly, thank you for the deuce. Well, round 2 discipline include the Weiss scandal. Nevada, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's very interesting, because I've heard a lot about Weiss recently, but your thoughts?
No, it will not include. That's a completely separate investigation, and there's multiple facets to that. There's the gambling aspect of that. There's the illegal practice tape, and then there's the whole thing about who was involved in terms of watching stuff potentially in real time. And so for I mean, that is literally an entirely separate investigation that could get cranked up, that right now seems to be picking up because the FTC and the FBI are both briefing the NCAA on what they found on this. So, that literally could be the third hammer that falls. As big as the second one is, there is another hurricane on the horizon, and that one is yet to hit land yet. But that could hit and just wipe out what's left of the survivors.
Totally agree. All right, 3 precinct. So it's PR3 sync. So I think it's precinct. Appreciate you, my man. If I said that wrong, please correct me phonetically in the chat. Thank you for the 10. Mr. Carton, what punishment, if any, did you receive for publicly voicing your preference for Troy Smith? All right. So it's funny because I had this discussion last week at Troy's golf outing. It was Monday. Actually, it was 5 days ago. So Vince Young is a guy who is a fantastic person. I did not know Vince from Adam, other than the fact that he beat us in 05. I've texted him a fair amount since Monday. He actually golfed with Archie Griffin yesterday, which is pretty cool. And so let's go and check the tail of the tape, because this was a very infamous moment in my life, which, again, I've had a lot of them, which is fine. I'm not salty about that. But, again, I like to be infamous more than irrelevant, which is what a lot of these guys are. So this is from October 12th, 2004. So to give you the background on this, we lost to Wisconsin the week before. We sucked. We were 3-2. We were 3-2, and we were heading to play Iowa at Kinnick. Iowa was very good. I had played in the Wisconsin game the week prior. It was very, we it was tough because, I'd gone into the game as a backup. Tim Schafer was a starter. We played a guy named Erasmus James. Erasmus was a first round pick. He dominated Tim. I mean, I'm talking like a 6-year-old versus a grown adult NFL player, and destroyed him, like killed him. And they told me, like, you're going in the game. Like John Peterson said, hey, get loose. You're going in this next series. See if you can stop him. And I was like, God bless. I'm not, but I was ready. Stay ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I go in there, play. Wasn't pretty, but I didn't give up any sacks. Tim gave up a sack and maybe 2 sacks and a couple of tackles for life. I mean, it was the worst performance I've ever seen by an offensive lineman ever. Erasmus versus Tim. Then I have to go in and go block this guy. And at the time of the game, he was the best player in the country, I thought. I mean, the week before we played Wisconsin, you guys can look this up because this isn't me pontificating or making up stories. He knocked out Michael Robinson from Penn State and Zach Mills. So they had this dual quarterback system at Penn State. He knocked both of those guys out. So all of a sudden, when you're getting ready for that game, I remember watching College Game Day, and Lee Corso was like, it sounds like these 2 Old Testament warriors, something crazy, Erasmus James and Antosh Hawthorne. Antosh Hawthorne the year before destroyed our offensive line. Bryce Bishop, Sapanovich, all those guys destroyed them. Like Bryce Bishop after the Wisconsin game in Cape Randall in 03 never started a game again. They put Sapanovich over at guard. They put Nick Mangold in at center. Adrian Clark was the other guard. But it was so bad that they moved the line around. And Bryce, who started in the championship game versus the Miami Hurricanes, never played again. So, the next year, those guys are all in the NFL or gone or whatever. And we're playing Antosh. And Erasmus was out the year before. He had a knee injury, so he missed the whole season. But he was the best player on the team. And so he destroys Tim. I get in there, hang in there, play. I actually played pretty well for a freshman who was, hanging by the seat of his behind. And, I play well enough for all of a sudden they say, hey, you're going to start this week against Iowa. And I remember I went out to practice on Tuesday, and we'd do a walkthrough before practice, and I'm still standing back in the back spot. And Jim Bowman grabs and says, hey, you're starting now. He grabs Tim Schafer and says, hey, you're back here by the bench warmers, the 2s, and you're with the first team in the walkthrough. So I'm like, okay. Again, it's always awkward when somebody gets benched and you take their spot because, when you did that first walkthrough, it was kind of like with Justin Zwick or Doug Dadish. Those guys both got benched for TJ Downing and Troy Smith, and the coaches don't really tell you. It's not like it's something on the. It's not like the movies where there's some board in the locker room that says, "Okay, this is who our starting lineup is." It's like they literally grab Troy and says, "Hey," or they grab Justin and say, "Hey, Justin, you go sit on the bench," and Troy, you're in, and Doug Dadish went out to walk through just like Tim Schafer did. Say, "Hey, you're out. TJ Downing's in." So it was weird. For my first week as a starter, they put me up for media availability. So, I go out there and, I'm young and I don't want to say, I never say I was young and dumb, but I was young and probably too intelligent to talk to the credentialed media because those people aren't very sharp. And they asked me some questions and they said, what do you think of the quarterback deal between Justin and Troy? So this is the article that came out after I talked. It says Lyman says Michigan shot. This is in the Lantern. The Lantern is the student newspaper at Ohio State. I know a lot of you guys probably don't. You guys probably haven't gone there, and if you haven't been there, they have little news boxes. I don't know if they do that anymore because I feel like newspapers are completely gone. But this is a student newspaper at Ohio State. So they wrote Lyman says Smith should get a shot. So it said offensive lineman Kirk Barton fanned a merely smoldering embers of quarterback controversy into a full-blown fire yesterday. As he told the media, the backup deserves a chance to unseat starting quarterback Justin Tucker. Which, again, this is dishonest, deceitful, and stupid. And that's why these guys aren't really in media anymore. I don't know what these guys do now, but they're, they don't deserve to really do anything. So my quote was, it said Kirk Barton, a redshirt freshman, was named starting right tackle for the Iowa game, praised backup Troy Smith. I said, this is my quote. And I said this to Vince Young. I have the text message. I said, they were neck and neck coming out of camp. It's not like the kid's a stiff. He was nose to nose with Vince Young, and Vince had been starting at Texas for 2 years. So I think he deserves it. He's been working as hard as anybody here. I've never seen a harder work from Troy Smith, which, again, I was right about that. So if you guys are keeping score at home and saying Kirk's a hater, Kirk's dumb, Kirk's whatever. Like, I nailed this thing to the cross because, again, a guy that was a backup that our staff didn't believe in or whatever, and they thought Justin was better. Like, this guy ended up winning the Heisman. So, there's some credence to when I say that this guy's better than Justin, and he was. Justin hinted at the weekly media launch that Zwick had been practicing better than Smith, and he said specifically in Troy's case, he needed to perform better than Justin and Todd Beckman in practice. And again, it's the same with all of our positions, which again, I get it. And, Tress is the ultimate senator, and Jim Tress was like my dad. So I'm not critical of him. That's what they believed. And, I said that, Troy is, he's worked just as hard and he's just as later as Justin Zwick. I said during the summer, we had all these practices in the summer. It would be like 11 on 11. We would do a lot of work. I said I literally said, I wasn't being critical of Justin. I said they're both leaders. That's what's important a quarterback. I think he's a great player. I've always thought that. Troy was one of the first guys to actually show love and not act like a douchebag. So he didn't even know who I was, but he was super, and when you're a leader, you want to, hey, what's up? What's good? So he was good. And again, I said that, and again, this is the ultimate. I said that practice is one thing. Games are completely different for me. Practicing games are just different to me. And again, I've said that a billion times because, again, if you have a brain, which the people that belong to BuckeyesCoop.com and listen to our podcasts, they realize, look, as great as it is to be awesome during practice, I've seen guys that have been really, really good practice players, guys that are confident in practice. They get out of that stadium, man, and they melt like a stick of butter on the frying pan, man. They get cooked. They're terrified. They're scared to death. And the thing about me is I'm like, look, when you get out in that real game in the horseshoe, there's no more black jersey. There's no more tag offs. You're getting tackled. You can scramble. You can get hit. So when you're an offensive lineman, there's some guys that have panic attacks. He's like, well, can I pass protect long enough to keep my quarterback from getting killed, or is he going to get killed? So again, I thought Troy at that point had his legs cut off because he was a guy that was a runner and could scramble and create. Again, he's not a runner. He's not like he's Tommy Frazier, but he's the guy that could create. And I thought in a real game where you don't have this tag off and this stupid non-contact trash, it'd be real. And again, people throw tomatoes at me because they hate me because I'm right. But I think that quarterbacks, when there's a real quarterback competition, not this year, Will Howard was clearly the best quarterback in camp by far. But if Will Howard wasn't here, it was Devin, Lincoln, Joel, whatever. I think the quarterback should be live in camp. I think that you should do some scrimmage periods where all of a sudden they're live. And if a guy gets beat, he's got a chance to get hit. And he also has a chance to run the ball. And there's real repercussions to running him. So it's not like it's just a black jersey fiasco. But the black jersey killed Troy when he was competing to be the starting quarterback. But when he got into the game, Heisman Trophy winner, beat Michigan. Again, I wouldn't have any gold pants if it wasn't for Troy Smith because Troy was so much better than his competition that it was crazy. And I was just happy that they were smart enough to name him. He was. Because again, all the goodwill and all the good feelings you know from the Tressel era is largely because of Troy Smith. Because he set the path. All of a sudden, Terrell wanted to come here. Braxton wanted to come here. He was a superstar, monstrous quarterback, phenomenal leader. And again, he's the best big game quarterback we've ever had. Again, I talked to Nevada about this. It's if he was that Florida game it's so daunting because he's the best big game quarterback we've ever had. That Florida game is a giant smear on his resume. But before that, man, we played really good Michigan teams, really good Texas teams, really good Penn State teams. And Troy was nails in those games. So, it's my opinion. Nevada, do you have any thoughts on that? Again, you weren't really with me when we had the suspension for talking about Troy. And again, my quote was, "They both should."
That was a long answer, and I don't think you answered the question. The question is, what was your punishment? You were restricted. You were put on double secret probation.
I had a 1 year suspension from the media, and it wasn't written in stone or anything, but I wasn't made available to the media for a year because the media, you have to understand.
Did they tell did they tell you that? Did they come in and say
No,
you are not eligible?
no.
They just didn't. They
They
just
they
didn't
just
pick you.
they just didn't put me on the block for a year because again, like the media loved me because I was so honest and I was so refreshing because most of these kids are coached to say the most bland, boring responses of all time. So it doesn't really work for what they're trying to do. But for me, I was just like, well, I don't care. I'm going to say something intelligent and something thoughtful. And the media ate it up with a spoon. I was a headline on every one of their things because, again, when they show up, like they know that they're going to get fed, shovelfuls of like manure. And usually the media will sit there and they'll eat it. They'll eat the manure with a spoon and be happy that they get the manure in their little Sunday cone. But with me, I actually gave them real stuff, and they're just like, "Wow, this is amazing. This is actually real content." So they love that, and so that's why we morphed that into this podcast. But yeah, I didn't talk to the media for a year. And Steve Snap, who I love to death, God rest his soul. I told him like when Troy won the Heisman, I was like, I told you I was right, and you guys are wrong. You guys are stupid. So you guys should just let me talk for the team, and then we'll be way further ahead than we would have been with you guys. So, any thoughts, Nevada?
No, I didn't know that they didn't tell you. I thought that they like said to you, "We're
No.
mad, and you're not going to talk to the media for another year." They
Well,
just deep freeze.
Jim Bowman came up to me and said, "Don't." He said Jim Bowman literally said, "Don't talk about don't talk about who's starting. Don't talk about who's playing to the media." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." This is at practice the next day, after everything blew up and people had their tizzies and they get their panties in a bunch. And I was like, if people are worried about what the media says or what other people say, then it's fine. They shouldn't be starting quarterbacks here anyways. Larry Daniels, thanks for being an Ultra member. Thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. My birthday is on Monday. Happy birthday, Larry. Hope you have a great weekend celebrating. Have the little dude hold on through the weekend. Any minute now, dude. I'm telling you. I told Nevada, I was like, it's going down a little bit right now, so we'll see if we can make it. So I apologize to all of you that I'm a little bit late. But when it's going down a little bit at home, and all of a sudden it's like, well, do we have to go to the hospital or chill? Let's try to get a podcast in. You guys understand. Again, like Kim is a monster. It's our third son, thank God. But she knows when the time is ready to roll. But I got my mom's here ready to watch the kids. So as soon as it goes down, we were boogieing over to the hospital and having this baby. So again, I apologize for the delay today. We're trying to give you guys a nice podcast tonight, but yeah, I would love for my son to be born on the same day as you, Larry. Again, I appreciate all that you do with us and Buckeye Scoop. Again, you're a great dude, and again, I appreciate all you guys that are on here. And again, I apologize to Nevada. I apologize to you guys. Like it's a very interesting situation. Nevada's like, we don't have to podcast. I was like, dude, we got hundreds of people waiting for us to podcast. Let's knock one out. When if Kim's water breaks during the show, then it just adds to the mystique of Buckeye Scoop that we work on Fridays and we work 7 days a week. So you guys know that I appreciate you guys tuning in. Heath, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. Does it even matter if the NCAA eliminates scholarships at Michigan, given the potential to offset this with NIL money? Interesting question, Nevada. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you offset that now. I don't think scholarship eliminations are something substantial anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, look, there's always ways around it. I mean, we've talked about how you can circumvent scholarship situations with NIL, but I think the NCAA would be watching the situation very carefully, and it would be kind of an understand that look of all the punishments that's going to happen to Michigan. That's I think they have to do that just because they're going to do it. But I agree with you; it's probably less meaningful in the NIL era than it would have been pre-NIL. But the NCAA will be watching Michigan pretty carefully to see if they're going to try any monkey business to try to get around it because. If they did that, they're just going to make it worse. Michigan's got to play it straight from here on out. Mm-hmm. They can't be fast and loose. They can't be defiant. The days of Chris Partridge telling the guys, don't cooperate, you're going to implicate this coaching staff and hide this computer and get rid of this information and lie to the NCAA. That's got to be over for Michigan, because that's how they got themselves in the situation they are now.
Totally agree. Chris Schmidbauer, Woody Hayes, legend from the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Grit, what Michigan gets out of Stallions on the sidelines? What does Central Michigan, Nevada, get out of humping Harbaugh in Michigan? Why risk losing your job? Well, I don't think it's Central Michigan. I don't think it's Jim McElwain. Again, Jim McElwain, who's a longtime coach, and again, I don't know him. He's not my friend. I don't know him at all, but I would bet a large sum of money he had no idea that this was going down, because there's no way that some subservient, I think the quarterback coach got fired, or some position coach got fired recently in the last month or so, that was kind of random and right before camp. So I don't think that McElwain had any idea this was going on. I think that, again, with the lunch bunch and all these morons that are interns and GAs, and they're fantasizing about building a coaching staff and fantasizing about, well, when I make it, I'm going to hire you, and when you make it, you hire me, and we'll run Michigan, and win 10 national titles, like whatever. I think that the guy that got fired on the staff at Central Michigan, who was an offensive assistant, I think that Connor knew him from camps. You have to understand, like, when you're at Michigan or Ohio State, every team that you play that isn't, every team like that's a MAC type school that is not on your schedule is invited to come to your camp. So like this year, Ohio State would not invite Western Michigan, Akron, Marshall, but every other school can come. So Kent State can come, Miami can come, Toledo can come. So a lot of these young coaches are there, and they're scouting and whatever. They get to know each other. They're all buddies, whatever, building their little dossier, building their little Rolodex for, who would I hire as a quarterback coach, a tight ends coach, whatever. And I bet that's how they met. I think that the one guy that got fired had worked at Michigan in some capacity, in a lesser, like an analyst type capacity. Could be wrong. And I'm sure that's how he met Connor, became buddies. And again, I have buddies at a lot of schools. And if I said, hey, I need a sideline pass, can I come? They'd say, yeah, of course. Absolutely. You need a sideline pass, we'll hook you up. Like, if I want to go to the Texas, Georgia game and have a sideline pass, I'd have it tonight if I wanted it. So, you get a little network going, and hey, do you have an extra shirt? Or, Connor doesn't even need them to give him a shirt. They can just say, hey, like, what shirt do you guys wear? Oh, we wear this Adidas coaching polo, and we wear khakis or whatever, dungaroos. And he could put all that on, and he looked just like a coach, with the same hat. Like the thing about Ohio State, like with what our coaches were on the sideline, is like, you could go to Buckeye Corner and buy the entire outfit, and if someone was stupid enough to give you a sideline pass, you could go march down there and stand next to Ryan Day and Justin Fry, and if they're too locked into the game, they don't notice you, and if someone gives you a credential, a pass, a sideline pass, like, they won't know any better, because again, there's all kinds of, the thing I learned about playing at Ohio State is there's all kinds of yahoos that are down on the sideline, and it's like, I've never seen any of these guys. They haven't been at a practice. I don't know if they're doctors. I don't know if they're donors. I don't know what they are, but they're here. And like, I'm not going to, like, in the middle of a game say, well, who the F are you? And why are you down here? Because, sometimes it's like, well, this guy's he donated $20 million to the hospital or whatever, and he's wearing our gear. So kind of is what it is at that point. Now, again, if a guy's like on the sideline between the hashes where he's like in the team bench area, a little different. But again, that's just my opinion. Nevada, your thoughts? Again, I appreciate you, Schmitty. I hope you're doing good, brother. You need to come to the Troy Smith outing next year, because it was amazing. It was a blast. You'd love to see all the old homies. He says he gets what Michigan gets out of the Stallions on the sidelines. What does Central Michigan get out of humping Harbaugh in Michigan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like you said, it was literally just that Geppetto trying to curry favor with Conor Stallions. And when Central Michigan's presented with all this, and that notice of allegation goes to, because that notice of allegation draft went to Michigan and Central Michigan. And what did Central Michigan do? They immediately fired this guy. So it shows you how Central Michigan's choosing to deal with this. And it shows you how severe it. That's the thing about it. Central Michigan had to fire their quarterback coach, or whatever he was, on the eve of camp, just on the draft thing of this notice of allegations. Imagine how bad it's going to be for Michigan. I mean, it's gonna be terrible for Michigan. Central Michigan will end up with probation, and this guy ended his career. So the reign of terror of Conor Stallions is going to be it's going to have far-reaching effects for a lot of people for a long time.
Totally agree. Geo Bear, appreciate you. Thank you. Scum has not beat OSU legitimately in, holy cow, 4,647 days. That is a long period of time. I agree with that. Nevada, you agree with that?
Well, it's facts. I mean, it's facts. I mean, you know, they were cheating. I mean, and I feel the same way. Like if there had been, can you imagine? Just try just for 1 second. Imagine if everything that just happens flipped, and
Oh God.
Michigan was beating us, and all of a sudden
God.
Ohio State was cheating and stealing the signals, and they had little Woody Barton on the sideline, the intern, filming the stuff. And can you imagine the outrage of the Michigan fans? I mean, their outrage would know no end. And this would be a 24-hour. You'd have to have a news channel just dedicated to Ohio State on this thing because it'd be so bad. So. I try to be sober about this. I try to be fair, and I try to look at it from the other side. And if Ohio State did this, I'd be mortified. I'd be mortified, and I'd be like, look, give us whatever punishment we got to get. Give it to me as quickly as possible because I want to get through it. I want to get to the other side. But I would stow defiance and obstinance and cheating and lying and steal. I would put all that to guys. We got to own it. We got to take our punishment, and we got to move on with life. And that's what Michigan's refused to do that up until now. But now they're it's kind of like the condemned people finding religion. Everybody, or people that said there's no atheists in foxholes. That's kind of what Michigan is right now. They're like,
Oh my God.
oh, now we're sorry. We're so sorry. What can we do? And it's like, it's a little late, guys. It's a little late for that. But that's where we're into bargaining right now, the bargaining phase with Michigan.
There's no atheists in foxholes. I love that. That is absolutely fantastic. There's no atheists in arbitration. All right, let's go. Devin, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 200. He says this is for baby Barton. Hopefully he shows up at some point because he's out there wild as can be. All right. Thank you for being a wrench as all. Thanks for being a great person, Devin, and being a great friend of the Scoop. May we please see the famous Scoop sideline video of the cheaters? Get a few more rants about how ridiculous it is. Think of all Reese plays this year. 24, 25, Natty Luck. OH, Nevada. Unmute, Nevada. The muted IO. I'll say IO. Oh my gosh. I appreciate you, my dude. Oh, shit. He's coming back. Here he is. Nevada, I said OH, and I was like, man, did he fall asleep, or did Kirby eat the phone?
No.
Or he's beating Kirby with it. He took his belt off and he's beating Kirby to death because Kirby's over there.
No, I got this
snarling at you.
I got this new cat, and this cat literally just walking at me, it's like clawing me with its claws.
Good.
The cat stepped on my phone. It stepped on my phone and hung up my phone for me. So yeah, so
what'd you name the cat? What'd you name the cat? Chindong Il?
I'm not even sure what the cat's name. I'm not even sure what the cat's name is. I know there is a name for the cat, but I've got Kirby, Winnie, and Chico all sitting here on the bed sleeping. But I'm not even sure what the cat's name is.
Is Kirby a girl, a boy, or is it unknown?
No, Kirby's a boy, Chico's a boy, and Winnie's a girl.
So I got a great name for the gray cat. You know, it's a girl or a boy?
It's a girl. It's a girl cat.
Okay,
I honestly don't know the name.
So the best thing I can do is I can get on my DraftKings and look at bets lost, and I can look at a great girl name is Ming, M-E-N-G, Ding,
Dang.
D-N-I-G,
Yeah,
Ming Ding. I mean, again, if you always want to love that cat forever,
yeah, Ming Dang, that damn cat.
Ming Ding, the cat.
Ming Ding just stepped on my phone and hung up the phone. So sorry about that.
If that cat was really named Ming Ding, it'd be a pot roast by now at some restaurant.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that's What a stinker, man. What a
Oh
stinker.
God, there's nothing that beats like I got this bet, I lay it, and I don't even check it because I'm busy editing the podcast. I get a sorry about that, man. I was like, what? I didn't even know the fight went off. Oh, it did not go good. I was like, oh, we're good. But yeah, that's a great cat name, Ming Ding. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. All right, Devin
I
asked me to
love
show
it.
the scoop sideline video. So here you got him looking back. Again, this is a great video. Devin's like, this $200 is for your kid. I was like, well, if the kid ever shows up, then we might actually get it. This is Nevada's a big Michigan fan. So there's Denard looking like a left guard and Denard, the left guard, hefty and fired, gone, pointing to the air. And then people say, how could you punish the current players? They had nothing to do with it. They didn't know. They didn't know what's going on. I'm like, look at this. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like these guys, I mean, I know these guys all get GEDs and these guys are all general studies majors that couldn't never get into Michigan's real business school. But I'm just saying, like, they're all pointing, where's my boy Connor at? Because he's right there. There he is. Our little defensive coordinator volunteer guy pointing at the sky. He's got this little signal thing. I don't know what that is. Whatever. I don't know if that's, I think it's Trey Young. But you can see, like, look at these guys. I mean, again, as soon as they're at the line, they're gonna fake, like CJ doesn't have his mouthpiece in. So he turns back over, he's looking over at Justin Fry and Brian Hartline, who are doing the Macarena over there to signal everything in. And you see Denard the left guard, and you see Connor over there looking right at our signalers. And the second Connor gets it, watch, because again, he's the brains of the operation because he's, Secret Service or whatever. He gets it, and he's the first hand to go up. He's the first hand. He goes up. This big fat dude over here is looking at him. Oh, point at the sky. It's a pass. There it is. Boom. And then Denard, who's a couple ticks slow because he's a general studies guy at Michigan. He's a late admissions guy at Michigan. 9 in the ACT Michigan guy. He's a little bit after Connor and the rest of the guys because he's not picking the signals. He's just going off of what everybody else is saying. So, again, we do this all. They're all pointing. All of the schematics are going on, double checking. But yeah, it's comical. So I'll go into that. Nevada, any thoughts on that? And also, do you think Arvell Reese plays this year in Nevada?
No, Arvell Reese is definitely going to play this year. Arvell Reese is really good football player. Really good football player. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, he can outgrow the linebacker position too. He can end up defensive enders. I mean, he could play a lot of different spots, but he's a heck of a player. As for that video, I mean, I just like we knew. I shouldn't say we knew. You always hear about stuff in terms of sign stealing, but I guess my mind just couldn't go to the extent that this thing was. And I think that's really generally the general consensus of everybody in football is that there's a line, and then Michigan just went way past the line. So now that you see the full extent, and wait till you read it in black and white in that notice of allegation, it's going to be you won't believe when you read it and see it there. I think even the most ardent Michigan fans are going to be absolutely chilled to the bone because it was just beyond anything that anybody could even have comprehended.
Totally agree. SC Buckeye, thanks for the Ulster membership. Thanks for the 5. Since Kirby took over at UGA, the team graduation rate is 41%, along with the rest. How much longer until he leaves Nevada OH? 41% is abysmal. And again, I know that a lot of these guys, they're barely literate, but you can still get them into some majors where you can kind of force them through and gussy those numbers a little bit. So the fact that Georgia, doesn't have that higher is insane. I think Kirby is I'll say he's as faithful as his options. He's the guy that, if the Atlanta Falcons offered him a job after Raheem Morris will be fired in 2 years. Do they want to offer? Does an NFL team want to offer Kirby, who's the best coach in college football right now, GM, head coach, 5, 6 year deal, $100 million, maybe. I don't think there's a college job that he'd leave for, unless for some reason Kalen Bohr sucks and Bama throws the kitchen sink at him. But I think Kirby's got the best job in college football at this point because Georgia's got the most talent in state. They've won 2 of the last 3 national titles. Like, outside of, I think that the 5 best jobs in college football are Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. God, I really want to say USC, but I don't want to say it. But like USC, if they ever get it cooking like they did when I was there in Los Angeles, like pretty hard to beat. LSU, I think, is a really good job. But the big ones to me are, and in modern football, I mean, Oregon, I think, is growing just because of Phil Knight, the NIL stuff. I think that's huge. But Oregon is just, there's no in-state talent. I mean, it's not just that there's no in-state talent in Oregon. There's no talent around the surrounding states either. So it's really interesting. Nevada, your thoughts? Since Kirby took over at Georgia, team graduation rate is 41% along with the rest. How much longer until he leaves? What are your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, I think he leaves in the next couple of years. I think you can tell he's kind of tired. And college football coaching right now is a grind. So I could definitely see him moving on. You contrast that to, I mean, Ohio State literally had the top APR in all of college football, um, with tied with Harvard, of all places, tied with Harvard. So I know some people are like, it doesn't matter, academics doesn't matter. But look, there are still, you know, parents that care about that stuff. There's still, kids that care about that stuff, and it's just, it's a great calling card for Ohio State that you can have great facilities, great tradition, great football team. Not only this year and next year, great, everything, and have an academic standing and an academic record that rivals the Ivy Leagues. So when I saw that, I was just like, wow, that is amazing. And you contrast that with the Georgia program, where look, they're great on the field, but I mean, nobody's had more off field incidents than them. And then you throw in a 41% graduation rate to boot. Yeah, I can see Kirby getting out of there and right soon.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Again, I think that there's always going to be a place for the hottest college coach to get offered by some crazy owner a pretty substantial deal. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds. This is good. Francis M. Plum, thanks for the 5. Lots of LE in my fam. They think Michigan is not cooperating with the NCAA, so they can destroy evidence of greater crimes, gambling. Better bowl ban than jail. I don't know, Nevada. What are your thoughts on that? They think that Michigan not cooperating with the NCAA so they can destroy evidence of greater crimes, quote unquote, gambling. It's better a bowl ban than jail. I think they're gonna get smoked on both. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, like I said, they've had Cheeseburger Gate hit, and you saw that, and you see the punishment through those things, pretty significant. And then they've got the second tsunami hitting with the thing, and the third one's coming, and including gambling. That's including unauthorized computer access to Ohio State footage, and that one's got so many different dimensions to it. So unfortunately, it's out of Michigan's control. They can't destroy the evidence because it's in the hands of the FBI and the FTC. So I think, I know Michigan is in deep, deep, deep trouble on this, and it's only a question of really what the FBI found, and because they've been spending a lot of time briefing the NCAA on this, and so the NCAA knows what they know now, and that could go really, really badly for Michigan.
Jojo 4312, thanks for the deuce pitches, my friend. Do we need to change the way we recruit the O-line? I don't think so. I mean, I think that the problem is like if we have a bunch of great players in Ohio, it's a lot easier. Midwest, it's a lot easier. But when there's a dearth like this year, then it's harder. I think that some of these recruits make these audacious requests, and I wouldn't honor them. If somebody said, "Hey, this is what I want to come to your school," I'd say, "Go fly a kite, go pound salt." Like that's what I do. But I'm old fashioned. I'm old school. I'll see how these guys pan out in 3 or 4 years and see how high they go in the draft, and we'll see who's right. but I've generally been right on these. So I think that it'll be about where we think it'll be. Nevada, Jojo, 4312. Thanks for the deuce again, my friend. I appreciate you. Hope you're having a good Friday night. He says, how do we need to change the way we recruit the O line? What are your thoughts?
I mean, look, I think the popular thing is cast a wider net, make more offers. Ohio State's tried to develop better relationships and been pretty narrow on that. I just think they got to refine what type of kids they're looking for. I've always, I've always said this from day one. I would go with Midwestern kids. I would go with kids from Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania. And I not to the exclusion of some of these bigger, commits from potentially from out of state, but I would stay Ohio centric. I would stay there and I'd focus on development. And, I've talked many times about the last national championship line being 5 Ohio kids and, one of them a 5-star and 4 3-stars. So it's all, to me, offensive line play is a function of development and scheme. And it's nice when you have some great talent in there, but some of the best linemen that we ever had at Ohio State were relatively unheralded. So I think we've got a great scheme in Chip Kelly. We've got a great strength and conditioning program, and let's see how Justin Fry brings them along from a development standpoint this year. But I think we're going to be just fine.
Oh, this is good. Jim Duschel, thanks for the 5. You will now have the #1 podcast for Buckeye football in Canada. I appreciate you, my man. You're the absolute best. I hope you're having a great night. Toronto, Canada. Nevada and I have been to Toronto for a high old time. The Brass Rail will live in infamy forever. What a great spot. Air Canada Center is great. Nevada, your thoughts on us having the #1 podcast for Ohio State football in Canada, specifically Toronto, Canada?
I love it. The only thing better than that would be if they added the University of Toronto to the Big Ten. That would be 4-dimensional chess. Go international Big Ten. Be the first international thing. You laugh, but that's every other league in sports is going international. They're going to London football, Mexico City baseball. Toronto's there. They understand football already. Bring them in, develop them, and have the entire country of Canada be a part of the Big Ten.
Nevada, the thing is like, you take heat for that, for saying that the Big Ten was considering adding Toronto, University of Toronto, and
not considering hold on. I said that they were on a list of potential expansion targets, and people taking that and run.
Is that different from
Toronto.
Kids?
It's like, guys,
considering. I mean, is potential targets not considering? Did I say something that was really,
to me, almost that? Well, it almost has a connotation of like they were like in negotiations.
No. Like, to me, it's like, I'm like, hey, we're going to Vegas. Let's consider going to STK. You're like, well, it's on the potential list of restaurants that we could eat at is STK. It's like, well, we're considering going to STK or Craft Steak or SW Steakhouse at the Wynn.
Yeah,
we're considering those.
I guess. Considering to me means more like some sort of active consideration, at least in my thing. I understand we're talking about semantics here. It was on a list of potential expansion targets, and that wasn't a guess. That came from the broadcast networks. They told me.
Well, why would you why would you ever guess that? Why would you ever throw that out there? Where it's like, oh my god, I'm going to throw Toronto out there like randomly, and like when you said that, I was like, I think that's genius. Toronto's, and I mean, you want to talk about, and again, when you're a guy like me who's played at I've played and coached in Iowa City and West Lafayette and Bloomington and Evanston, all these other armpits, and like you say, hey guys, we could go to Toronto. I was like, are you kidding me? That'd be like if you added UNL. That'd be like if you said, hey, also UNLV is up for consideration of the Big Ten. I'd be like, sign me up. That would be, you want to talk about a stadium that would be filled with Buckeyes. There's more Frontier Airline and Spirit, One Way, Canton, Akron, Cleveland, Columbus flights than anywhere in the universe, Vegas. So if you said, hey, they're going to add UNLV to the Big Ten, I'm like, raise the roof. The first thing I do in my NCAA dynasty is I put where's the Big Ten championship should play? I'm like Allegiant Stadium. Are you kidding me? Could you imagine the Big Ten championship in Las Vegas? Oh my God, it'd be the greatest thing of all time. Instead of Indy or Chicago or these other armpits, like put me in Vegas. That would be lit. There's all these everything in the world to do. Good hotels for everybody. It's the best place in the world to have a Super Bowl, Big Ten championship. Plus, then you kind of you stroke the whole West Coast thing. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, Nevada Super Nerd again. Thanks for the 10. Appreciate you. Brian says no soft batch cookies running the scoop. That's right. You guys can run 24/7. We really do. I mean, again, like this is one where it's like, I had to check with my wife's contractions to see if we could do a podcast tonight. And I told Nevada, I said, hey, I don't know if I can do it. I think they're spaced out long enough before we get through a show. And we're having a monster 2-hour show tonight. So we're rolling. Nevada, do you think we have an all-star coaching staff for Ohio State this year? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an all-star. Stuff. I mean, it's when you consider where we were at this point last year, and you compare the staff to that, it is night and day. Can we get better? There's probably this one spot we can get better, but maybe two. But it's a really good staff, a really energetic staff. No more low energy, bums on the staff, and I'm excited about it. It's one of the reasons staffs matter. And that's why it's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about the 2024 team, because you can have a great team, but if you don't have the staff to match, man, it can kill you. And Ohio State's got everything in abundance for sure.
Totally agree. I think the staff's going to be a huge upgrade this year. Super excited about it. Paul Lewis, what is up, my man? Thank you for the very generous 200. I appreciate you, brother. I hope you're having a great time. You got to get back to Columbus, man. We had a great lunch that one time. You brought in that crazy wine, and it was really good. I did not make it to podcast that night because of you, so I appreciate that. Thank you again for also the 100. Hi, guys. Missed you. Dude, you're the best. Again, you gave me one of the nicest gifts ever at a meetup when you gave me that bottle of very, very expensive, very, very rare liquor. So I appreciate you, my dude, as always. I hope you're doing great. Kim loves her jacket. I know you're always very Natalie attired when you come here, but I appreciate you so much for all that you do. Our next meetup will be in September. I'd love to go to dinner with you if you get into town. Again, I appreciate you so much for all that you do. Nevada, any thoughts for Paul Lewis, who gave us $300 worth of super chats tonight?
Yeah, I mean, amazing Hall of Famer. Thanks to Pay It Forward. I signed up actually a couple new Pay It Forward members today. So just thank you so much for supporting them, and God bless you, and just really, really, really appreciate your generosity and you being here and supporting us.
Totally agree. All right, Nevada, good long show, good Friday night. Any final thoughts?
No, just great day. I'm going to close out the show with a little bit of humble brag. Nevada Buck spawn tomorrow, starting against Canada for the national team. So Nevada Buck's going to be on. I'll probably start drinking heavily tonight to try to get through to tomorrow. But hopefully everything goes well, and we'll be celebrating tomorrow on tomorrow night's show. But big day for Nevada Buck. Big day for the Bartons. Big day for Michigan. It's just a lot going on right now. So. I just appreciate everybody being here, and Kirk, appreciate you being here, and Kim being here. This is unbelievable.
No, she knows. I said if we're podcasting with Nevada, she has to. If that water breaks, she has to drive herself. That's what Nevada said. He said this is how we do it around here, 7 days a week.
As it should be.
Hey, don't be soft.
I did not say that.
People. That'll be on every message board. They will say Nevada Buck said that Kirk is hypnotized by Nevada. He has to podcast no matter what. It doesn't matter what he says and what he does. Yeah. So again, he's under lock and chain. Nevada, take an Uber to the hospital, and again, because we are very, very prudent with our expenses with our partners. not an Uber Black, an Uber X, so they can drive in a Corolla to go to the hospital with the water leaking out.
Because Kirk, seriously, like driving yourself would be ridiculous. So take an Uber, Kim.
Take an Uber. That's
See,
right.
I have a heart.
But do not expect to expense that on Buckeye Scoop, because that'll get rejected very quickly.
Don't charge it, dude. Do not charge.
Do not. That'll get rejected by Buckeye Scoop real quick. Real quick. Oh God. Real quick.
Not approved.
Did Team USA beat Canada today?
Did not play today. Did not play. Played Wednesday and Thursday. Today was an off day. Just hanging out night.
So here's it. So are they 0-2? Are they 1-1 or 0-2?
No, they lost 4-2 and 3-1. So they're 0-2.
Oh snap! So the stopper is coming. What time's the game? What time's the puck drop tomorrow?
Yeah.
What time's the puck drop tomorrow?
4 o'clock Eastern. 4 o'clock Eastern.
Is it on DraftKings? More importantly, under 2.5 goals. World Juniors Championship. I love it. All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up so that you can get to your medicine and get to go on tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. I appreciate you, Scoop family. Thank you for a monstrous show. As always, thank you to Devin, Paul, Lewis. Huge super chats. Thank you to all you guys that super chatted. A lot of paid forwards coming in at the door, but we appreciate all you guys. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click the little bell. Also say a prayer for Kim. This baby should be showing up any minute now, so I appreciate all you guys that are checking in, texting, calling. I appreciate you guys so much. Kim was not moderating much tonight. She worked a little bit. Little kids going to go, but what a fun time. So, again, if you guys want to do something outstanding to help us with the birth of our child, please follow us on Apple Podcasts. That is huge for us. That's a huge growth deal for us right now. Apple Podcasts. Just click on Apple Podcasts on your iPhone, your iPad. Type in Buckeye Scoop. Click to follow the Buckeye Scoop podcast. Huge for us. Add a 5-star review. Be especially fantastic. But again, I appreciate you guys so very much. I hope you guys are having a great week. We'll be back again tomorrow night, as long as everything goes to plan. If not, I'll let you guys know. I'll let the people in chat know. If you're on BuckeyeScoop.com, you are the first people to know. We'll let you know if you cannot podcast because I'm at the hospital with Kim. But again, I love you guys to death. I hope you guys are having a great week, a great cap to your week with this Friday night. Huge UFC 305 tomorrow night. Watch out for Dagestan Pop. He's got huge picks coming up. So follow him on X, a.k.a. Twitter. Dagestan Poppy is killing it. So, again, I appreciate you guys, as always. Thank you to my Southern Ohio boys. Shout out to my Southern Ohio boys. Met a couple of you guys at Twin Peaks the last few days. I appreciate all that you guys do. Shout out to all of our Ohio State fans. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great rest of your night. And have a great start to your weekend. Go Bucks. What's up, dog?